Well, good evening, everyone. I will now call the Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 regular council meeting to order. First up on the agenda is adoption of this evening's agenda. Under 2.1, a recommendation here that the agenda for August 23rd, 2022 regular meeting of council be adopted as
Public hearing.
Oh, it's a public hearing first. Why don't we have a public hearing first? So I will not call the regular meeting of council to order right now.
Okay.
Let's have a public hearing. Good evening, everyone. I'll call the Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 public hearing to order. First up on the agenda is adoption of this evening's public hearing agenda. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson. All in favor? It's carried. I will now read aloud the statement for this evening. This public hearing dated August 23rd, 2022, held in the Village of Valemount Council Chambers at 735 Cranberry Lake Road in Valemount, BC, is being convened pursuant to the terms of the Local Government Act prior to consideration of one item. Number one, temporary use permit 2207 for a temporary residential structure at 1280 14th Avenue. At a public hearing, any person present who believes they are affected by a matter being considered shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the matter contained in the proposal. Members of the public speaking to the proposal should, at the appropriate time, commence your address to this council by stating your name and area of residence, at which time you may then give us the benefit of your views concerning the proposal. Everyone who deems their interests are affected shall be given the opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. All who submit comments at this public hearing will restrict their remarks to matters contained in the proposal, and it is my responsibility as chairperson of this meeting to ensure that all remarks are so restricted. At the conclusion of a public hearing, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representation made at the hearing. We'll now have an overview from staff, please.
Good evening. Tonight's public hearing is in regards to one item, temporary use permit 2207, proposing to allow one recreational vehicle to be parked on the property located at 1280 14th Avenue and used as a residence for a period of 2 years. The property is legally described as Lot 26, District Lot 7355, Caribou District Plan 26762. The proposed application satisfies the requirements outlined in the Temporary Residential Structure Policy 83 for the provision of water, sewer, power servicing, and garbage disposal. The location of the unit is compliant with setback requirements, and the building inspector has confirmed the RV to have the CSA Z240 RV certification. At the regular council meeting of July 26, council gave initial approval to the proposed temporary use permit. Adjacent property owners have since been notified and the proposal and invited to provide feedback at tonight's public hearing or via written submissions.
Thank you. And under 4.2, Ms. Eddy, are there any written submissions being received prior to these proceedings?
No, we didn't receive any submissions for this one.
Thank you. Are there any verbal presentations from the public? Are there any verbal presentations from the public? For a third and final time, are there any verbal presentations from the public? Under 4.4, is the proponent present? And under 4.5, are there any questions of staff and or the proponent from council? Anything that you need clarity on? Hearing none, I will now adjourn this public hearing. And then call to order the Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 regular council meeting. And under 2.1, adoption of this evening's agenda with a couple of amendments, please council for your consideration. To include the following additions, item 6.4, request for support, Kangia, quote, towards net zero homes and communities application. Item 6.5, request for council permission, Firm Foundation Christian Outreach for the Yellow Duck Pluck raffle. And item 8.14, the community hall generator RFQ. What's council's wish? Councillor Blanchette moves. Councillor Pearson seconds. With the amendments, are there any further additions or deletions? All in favor? It's carried. Item 3.1, adoption of the minutes of the July 26th, 2022 regular meeting of council be adopted. Councillor MacLean, Councillor Blanchette, any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. Item 3.2, adoption of the minutes of the August 11th, 2022 special meeting of council. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor MacLean, are there any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. Section 4, delegations. Under 4.1, we do have a delegation this evening from the Southeast BC Regional Connectivity Committee, here being presented by Mr. Rob Gay, Chair, and an overview of the 2022-2025 strategic plan. Welcome, Mr. Gay. The floor is yours, sir.
Your Worship, I'm going to try to share my screen, so if it doesn't work, we'll go without it. So let me know if you can, if this works. Are you able to see that, Owen?
No, I can't, Rob.
No, I'm not either.
Yes,
It's there?
We can see. Yeah, no, we can see. He just has to start his PowerPoint.
Okay.
Can you tell him?
Yeah, we can see your screen. You just need to start your PowerPoint, Mr. Gay.
Yeah.
We can will it, and you can email that to us later if you wish, Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get back to the. I'm going to have to come back in. I can't seem to even get. Here we go. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I think I'll just do it without the shared screen. I kind of get lost there. So, good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing us to present. I've been working on this file for a little while, so I'm pretty jazzed up about it. And I know you're one of the communities in the Columbia Basin Trust that
recording in progress
has had a need for the internet. So this evening I will only take about 10 minutes of your time. I just want to let you know that Your Worship, your mayor is actually the co-chair of this committee and really brings I think the views of the north of central British Columbia more so than we have here. So we've got a good rounded membership, and I'll talk about that a little bit. This evening what we want to do is just kind of talk about our 3-year plan. In the past, we've had the members sign in on the 3-year plan, and we just went through an exercise last October to solidify that. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And then just before I conclude, I'm going to talk to something, I'm not sure if the mayor has shared with you something called the Universal Broadband Fund, which was a very, very large application for federal and provincial money. And we've had some good news and some news that we haven't been able to make public at this point, but we're moving in the right direction, we think. So who is the Southeast Regional Connectivity Committee? So we're made up of 4 regional districts, the village of Valemount and the Ktunaxa Nation Council. On our committee, we have the Columbia Basin Broadband Corporation, which is basically Columbia Basin Trust, and the province of BC as ex officio members. And as mentioned, Owen is the co-chair of the committee. We've been working together since 2013, and our objective has not changed over the years. Our goal is to bring high-speed connectivity and mobility access to those who want it in the basin. And that's been simply it. And one nice thing about this, it's a solvable problem. And we all, I think in all our towns, small and large, we have homelessness issues creeping up. We've got people that are struggling with financial issues. And those are very, very difficult. And I don't know if we'll ever solve them. I was watching a movie the other night and they were talking about the depression and people were homeless and, having financial issues. So that doesn't go away. This one we feel we can solve, but it's a financial thing, and I'll talk more about that. So our mission basically is a united voice to advocate for all the constituents through our leadership, our knowledge sharing, and a common understanding of the current and future needs of the high-speed broadband internet and connectivity access within the region. And we like this to be affordable as well. And as well, I think I'll talk a little bit about competition. So 3-year planning, we met virtually in last August, and some of us were live in Castlegar. We reviewed our history, we looked at our challenges and our achievements, and we discussed how the demand for connectivity has increased and what our role should be to help communities get served. And we've been really watched this game change over the years, where now we have a national standard, and we also know a lot of things because we know nationally, and the province has bought onto that, there's actually a deadline. There's a date when we want to get this completed, and it's the end of March 2017. So we know what the Canada speeds are. It's 5010. We actually know when the completion date is, and we have a pretty good idea in the Columbia Basin region, including Valemount, how many homes are not served, and that's about 14,500 homes that haven't got access to high-speed internet. There's probably some of those homes, and maybe in your area as well, that have service, but it doesn't meet up to that standard. And so you can do the speed tests, and you probably heard about that, just to see what, in fact, you are getting for what you're paying for. But some of our communities certainly feel that they're told that they have high-speed internet, but they actually don't. They're not getting the Canadian standard. Our focus has been the access to connectivity. We've had strong reassurance of this when we did our strategic plan. We go out, we meet with the regional districts, with the village, Valemount, and certainly we've got approval. And what we're looking for tonight after your meeting would be a letter just supporting our direction. We're not looking for any funding. We're not looking for any further commitment. And a member from your community sit on the committee. And we'd like to get that going. And our plan is for the next 3 years, 2022 to 25. The outcomes, and I don't think I need to go into this in much detail, of why we all need internet. We in the rural areas certainly need it probably more than the cities, or as much as the cities. We found with COVID, many of our children were being educated at home. We also know that there's a shortage of doctors in most rural communities. So we're doing health care via the internet. We can't grow economically without it. People, in fact, will probably not move to your community because now it's the checklist. Have they got good schools? Have you got a doctor? Have we got internet before they'll even make a decision to move? And we want to do that. And then for us as local government, emergency management, I just spoke a few minutes about a fire. We in our area, and I'm sure in many of your areas in your regional district, you push the messages out over the email. It's on your websites. We do that. We also know access to employment and access to many of the provincial services and the federal services. In fact, a lot of federal services, if you don't go online, they'll put you on hold probably for the next 2 weeks before you'll ever get a person. So we know how that happens as well, especially in our rural areas. So we're committed to this, and I think we all understand the needs. One of the things that we've done as a committee is we do our best to stay informed. So we meet about every 6 weeks, and we bring in topical speakers. So one of the things we spoke to and we continue to speak to is about pole contact. So we all know that for the most part, we've been able to bring electricity to most homes in British Columbia. And most of the electricity comes on poles, and those poles could serve a fiber line. BC Hydro, for one, wants to charge big money to use their lines. TELUS is another one that wants to charge big money. So we advocate for changes in that area. We work on that. We also have been trying to understand what Starlink, what it brings, and your mayor has actually got Starlink. I've got a few of my directors on Starlink. Starlink has been good. It's we understand it's not maybe as good as fiber, but the thing with Starlink, there's not a lot of competition, and I think the price of Starlink started at about $130, and I hear now it's $140 or or $150 a month. So where's affordability, and depending on your needs, I guess, and what you use internet for, it's something that'll work. We've talked to Rogers Communications about 5G communication. What does that mean? We've also had Rogers present to us about, what they're offering for rural and remote British Columbia and Canada if and when the Shaw deal goes through. So there's some big promises being made there. We've talked to our municipal insurance corporation about cybercrime and what's the pros and cons there, and encourage our members to look at insuring, because we know some communities have really struggled. Whistler is a really good example, and I think Prince George in your neighborhood has had a real hit with cybercrime. We've talked about TELUS about cellular coverage along our major highways, and we had a good review from a company called Tanex that gave a review of the Northern Development Initiative Trust study they did, when basically TELUS said that they were serving most of the north. We all know that wasn't true. Tanex went and did a report and basically supported that, no, the north is not fully served. So we've also undertaken meetings with our officials. We meet with all our MLAs, we've met with the MPs, and we meet with provincial staff. So everybody knows who we are, and we're at their door, and we're just trying to keep them informed of what our needs are. So that's kind of who we are, what we're doing, what's a strategic plan. And I just want to close with this Universal Broadband Fund, and then we can talk about some questions. So anyway, collectively, the Columbia Basin Broadband Corporation, Columbia Basin Trust, if you'd rather, has put a very large application together. And the total ask has been $92 million. And what we asked the provincial government for, and I'm just going to do some round figures, it was about $19.5 million. Of that, they have approved through NDIT 16 million. We've asked the local governments to contribute about 3.8 million. The local governments have contributed, with including you, the village, have contributed 100% of the ask of $3.8 million. We've asked the Columbia Basin Broadband Corporation for about 26 million. They have put their money on the table. And so the only ones we're waiting for now is maybe 3.5 more from the province, which we think we can get. It's looking pretty good. And it's a 45 million ask to the federal government. The talks have been ongoing with Columbia Basin. They've had a lot of very good discussion. We haven't heard it formally that's approved, but we're feeling pretty good because we haven't heard a no yet. And the process has been a long one. This went in over a year ago. So we're hopeful of that. With the submissions, we had 60 letters of support from local government, ISPs, educational institutes, and many First Nations as well. And this application would cover 6,600 homes. So I said earlier, there's about 14,000 homes. This would solve about half of our problem, or a little bit more than that. And that would allow all those residents to have the national speed of Canada, 50 and 10 down. So that's where we're at with that. So yeah, so I talked a long time. As I say, I'm pretty stoked about this, and we've made some good headway. We have some projects underway right now. If you're familiar with the geography down here, the Slocan Valley that runs from kind of between Castlegar and Nelson up north from the cusp, there's a project underway, about $8 million. There's another one to the south of Cranbrook that we just did a ribbon cutting a few weeks ago. It was about $2 million. But those little steps, they're all important to the communities, but at $2 million and $8 million at a time, we need about 180-ish million to solve the problem for the whole region. And if we can get the federal program approved, we're about halfway there. So pretty optimistic, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Your Worship and councillors, and I'm prepared to take any questions or any comments you share.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gay. Motion to receive. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette. Questions for the delegation? Councillor Blanchette.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for fighting the good fight. You know, we all need to have, like you pointed out, we need to have this happen. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, we get a lot of that when we do, even to talk to the MLAs. They're you know, from both the NDP and the Liberal, certainly on board with it. So very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Further discussion, further questions, comments? Chair Gay, thank you so much for taking the time to present the strategic plan to us this evening. I, too, am super stoked to both serving the residents of the basin, the village of Valemount, and also am optimistic for our future. So thank you very much, Mr. Gay.
You're very welcome. I think, the next step, when I look at it, and you can look at some of the, what's going on down in Ontario, but some of our communities in the basin are going to want to be super speed. So they're going to want a lot more than this. And I think that's, some towns and maybe your town, because if we look for some communities that have some room to grow, people are wanting to leave the cities now. And if we could provide a community like Valemount with super high speed, I think we could move some technology companies, because a lot of these companies, and even from the Silicon Valley, they want their employees to basically want to treat. Go to Valemount for 6 months, ski all winter. If you've got high speed, look at the opportunities in our towns. And I think it's towns like Valemount and some or smaller towns that I say they're maybe a little bit affordable, have room to grow. If we can do that, if we can bring super high speed, think about the economic opportunity. So yeah, Owen and I are stoked, and I think I'll leave it at that. But think about it. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Rob. We'll see you in a couple weeks' time.
You bet. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
Further discussion on the delegation?
Recording stopped.
All in favor of receipt? It's carried. We have a plethora of correspondence for action this evening. First one, 6.1. We just heard from the Southeast BC Regional Connectivity Committee, and they are looking for our support for their 2022-2025 strategic plan. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, discussion.
It's exciting.
Just to Mr. Gay's last comment, we've been seeing it for the last 4 years of an influx of urbanites into that non-urban setting. And we've also seen that brick and mortar storefronts maybe expand out to the interweb. So, having those opportunities, we'll need solid internet. So, further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.2, Senior Society request to have tent rental fees waived. Councillor
I
MacLean?
would like to be recused as I sit on the executive for the society.
Thank you so much. And the recommendation with this item is that the tent rental fees for the Valemount Senior Citizens Housing Society be waived for their event on September 17th, 2022, subject to provision of the required damage deposit to the Village of Valemount prior to the event and compliance with the requirements of policy number 12, rental of village facilities and property. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. Council has waived the fees.
Thank you.
6.3, Varda road closure request, and I too need to recuse myself as I'm a member of their board of directors. Councillor MacLean, just give me half a second and I'll vacate.
We have a request from Varda to close the road, a short section of road between Main Street and the north entrance to Vale Coffee and the access road to the bike park to vehicle traffic for approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes on Sunday, September 18th. There would also be a closure of Fifth Avenue between Ash and the train crossing. So requested closure date and time is Sunday, September 18th from 9:30 to 10:45. And the reason that they would like to have the road closed is that they would like to hold a cross-country mountain bike race, and this would allow for a shotgun start of the men's, women's, and kids cross-country mountain bike race. Do we have a motion to grant them the closure? Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Request was granted.
Excellent, thank you, Councillor. Six point four, support for Cangia towards net zero homes and communities application to provide a letter to the Canadian Geothermal Energy Association in support of their efforts to seek funding to deliver educational workshops throughout rural and remote communities in Canada. Councillor Pearson, Councillor MacLean, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. And finally, under correspondence for action 6.5, Firm Foundation Christian Outreach for the Yellow Duck Pluck raffle. A recommendation here that council provides permission to Firm Foundation Christian Outreach to hold the draw for the Yellow Duck Pluck raffle at the Valemount Children's Activity Center located at 101 Gore Street. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, discussion. Not the yellowhead pluck,
Say that 3 times.
the yellow duck pluck. Councillor Pearson?
They've taken all the fun of this by not having it in Swift Creek anymore, but
You know, I do really appreciate the entertainment that Dr. Markham would provide by being nothing in shorts in the middle of Swift Creek with a big net.
he was dedicated.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Is there anything out of the rating file folks would like to surface? Councillor Pearson, are you in Prince George on the 22nd?
Not specifically. I did look at that.
I am. Would anybody want me to attend the Kofi dinner? Raise
I
your
would-
profile a little bit.
I would move that, yeah.
Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, that I attend the Kofi dinner for the 2022 community dinner for Kofi, September 22nd. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Is there anything further under the reading file? Looks like Kim Basket is slowing up a little bit. Councillor MacLean?
It's still rising, though.
It is still rising.
It'd be interesting to see a more recent update after being out on the lake the other day. She's getting up there.
Yeah, she's just about touching dirt. Was there anything further, Councillor Pearson? Yes.
Just wondering if it's too premature, but to look at item 3 and have a block of rooms tentatively booked for the NCLGA with no names attached at this point.
I don't know if those blocks will be open yet.
Okay.
They'll probably open January, I'm guessing.
Okay.
But something for staff to keep in mind, for sure, and I'm sure they do. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to administrative reports. 8.1, accounts payable, July 2022, that it be received. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. 8.2, the 2022 second quarterly budget report that it be received. Councillor MacLean, Councillor Blanchette, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. 8.3, project update report that it be received. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor MacLean, discussion. Councillor Blanchette.
There is a lot going on, and thank you to everyone involved in moving everything forward.
Excellent.
You know, it's a lot.
Yeah. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.4, cancellation of October 25th, 2022 council meeting, that the report be received for information. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. 8.5, 2022 Climate Action Survey Program Report. The council approves the 2022? 21, thank you. So the item is the 2021 Climate Action Survey Program Report, and that council approves the 2021 Climate Action Survey Report, Program Report for public posting. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, discussion. What's the program now called? It's not CARIP anymore?
It's got a new name.
Yeah. And a new acronym, I'm guessing. All in favor? It's carried. 8.6, the Community Wood Stove Reduction Program. Staff be directed to apply to the Ministry of Environment to continue the Community Wood Smoke Reduction Program through 2023. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor MacLean, discussion. Much thanks to our Cleaner Task Force for moving us along in the right direction.
Staff have a big help in that as well, so.
Excellent.
To be noted.
Further discussion, all in favor, it's carried. 8.7, Regional District, Fraser Fort George, Regional Land Use Planning Services Agreement. Recommendation here that we enter into a 4-year term from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2026. Councillor MacLean, Councillor Blanchette, questions? Awesome deal. Take advantage. All in favor? It's carried. 8.8, agent authorization for subdivision application 2201. Councillor MacLean,
Once again,
recusing as you are a member of the executive. Thank you. The recommendation here that the Valemount Senior Citizens Housing Society be authorized to act as agent on the application for the subdivision of parcel D, R22478 of the south half of the northeast quarter of District Lot 7355 Caribou District, except part subdivided by Plan BCP 1223. Did I get it all? Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette says I did. Discussion on having the Senior Citizens Housing Society as a agent. Councillor
It's
Blanchette?
just exciting because it's another next step, right? And it gets us closer and closer to the end goal, so it's congratulations and it's exciting. It's,
Certainly is.
yeah.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Congratulations, Chairperson, you are now an agent.
thank you.
8.9, 2023 permissive tax exemptions. I think the first motion I would have council entertain is to approve or not approve these potential permissive tax exemptions as a block. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, that we are entertaining the following 5 permissive tax exemptions as one block. Discussion on that. All in favor? It's carried. And there is a recommendation that we resolve the tax exemption amount or percentage for the following organizations for the 2023 tax year. Number 1, the Valemount Curling Club. Number 2, the Valemount District Royal Canadian Legion Branch number 266. Number 3, Valemount Affordable Rental Society. Number 4, Valemount Lions Club. And number 5, the Valemount Learning Society. Does anybody want to throw a percentage point out? Councillor Blanchette?
I'll throw 100 out. Feels like we're betting or something.
You want 100% tax exemption?
I'm just throwing it out there to start the discussion.
Is there a seconder on 100%? I feel that
Okay.
is quashed.
That's fine.
Which is fine.
This
That,
gives us a start place.
we
Yep.
start high. I like it. Is there
Try.
would you like to entertain another one?
50.
Do we get a seconder on the 50? I feel like an auctioneer.
Yeah, that's what I mean, it just.
It is kind
you know,
of.
It feels very strange.
Councillor
know that-
Blanchette, I feel that's been quashed as well. Would you like to try for a third?
I'm done trying.
Okay, Councillor Pearson, you want to throw a number out?
I would move 25%.
Is there a seconder on 25%? Councillor MacLean, discussion? All of these are worthy of a tax exemption of some form, given their community service and many, many years of community service.
Is 25 going to be, never, okay, yeah, no,
Need some clarity?
no. I'm
Okay.
good.
Further discussion? All in favor, 25%? Sold. It's carried. 8.10, borrowing of funds for the Dogwood Lift Station replacement. Recommendation here that council direct staff to begin the process of borrowing funds from the Municipal Finance Authority for the purpose of funding the Dogwood Lift Station replacement. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, discussion.
Let's try.
We're not borrowing yet, we're just starting the process.
See what happens.
Needs to be done. I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, we're starting now, as the process needs to go through the regional district and then on to the finance authority, and want to get in there before January because budget season, we will never get in on the agenda. Yeah. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.11, sole sourcing of Swift Creek Restoration Project. Recommendation, council approves the sole sourcing to BC Stone Corp in the amount of $200,000 for the purpose of supplying and placing material for the Swift Creek Restoration Project. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor MacLean. Any discussion on sole sourcing? Councillor Pearson?
so in reading report, this is for supplying the rock and doing the placement? This is the entire project?
Not the entire, there's engineering as well, and oversight.
Okay.
But this is for the purchase and placement of suitable rock. Okay, we've had some additional funding, just because you're not at the podium, additional expenses towards engineering and planning.
Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
further discussion? We're sole sourcing based on suitability. In fact, that's probably the only proponent in the area that does this. All in favor? It's carried. 8.12, temporary use permit 2202 at 65 Ash Street. Recommendation here that temporary use permit 2202 for 65 Ash Street, legally described as Lot 6, District Lot 7355, Caribou District Plan 23725, proposing a temporary residential structure for up to 2 years, be given initial approval. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor MacLean, discussion. Triggers a public hearing. All in favor? It's carried. 8.13, temporary use permit 2207 at 1280 14th Ave. Councillor Blanchette.
Step out as this is a family member.
Thank you. Recommendation that temporary use permit 2205 for 1280 14th Avenue, legally described as Lot 26, District Lot 7355, Caribou District Plan 26762, proposing a temporary residential structure for up to 2 years to be approved. Councillor MacLean, Councillor Blanchette, Pearson, sorry. She just left the room.
That's okay, I wrote it down.
Did you? Well, it's Councillor Pearson that seconded it. Discussion on the temporary use permit. All in favor? It's carried. Councillor, we've provided a temporary use permit,
Perfect, thank you.
or approved. We haven't provided it yet. 8.14, Community Hall Generator, request for quotes. Recommendation here, the council accepts the bid from West Canada Electric in the amount of $160,000 plus GST for the supply and installation of a generator at the Valemount Community Hall. Councillor MacLean, Councillor Pearson. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Bylaws and policies, section 9, 9.1, Village of Valemount Council Procedure Amendment Bylaw number 862, 2022. The recommendation here that Village of Valemount Council Procedure Bylaw 834, 2020, Amendment Bylaw 862, 2022 be given first and second reading. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor McPherson. I'll get that whole side.
I'm just gonna sit quietly over here.
Councillor Pearson, on first and second reading. Discussion. Flexing it up a little bit for electronic participation.
We have a time, sorry.
And we'll still provide a spot where public can view, hear, etc. All in favor? It's carried. Is there any new business? Not seeing any. Are there any notices of motion to come forward? Not hearing any. Council reports. Let's start with Councillor McPherson. We'll get them all in.
There we go.
Councillor Pearson.
August 4th, joined Mayor Torgerson, Councillor MacLean, and CEO Depenau to meet with the McBride Council for lunch and a tour of their downtown sector. August 8th, Community Forest meeting. August 11th, special council meeting with all. And that would be it, council related.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You also represented the TCYHA as our representative with a discussion meeting with Ministry of Transportation.
Oh, correct, yes. That was on my other written calendar.
Thank you. Let's go across the room. Councillor Blanchette.
On the 11th, actually, we were supposed to have a health update call, but nobody ever showed up. So, you know, it was nothing. Yeah, you and I were there, and you were there, yeah. On the 11th, we did have an in-camera, and on the 15th, we met with our MLA, Shirley Bond. I gave her a great update about the Clean Air Task Force, gave her the notes. She was really quite pleased, and we talked about some other items to keep her in the loop. And that's everything.
Thank you. Councillor MacLean.
On August 4th, I traveled to McBride with other council members, Mayor, and our CAO, Eric Depenau, for a meeting between the two respective councils and their senior admin staff, our senior admin staff. On the 17th, I attended the Columbia Basin Regional Advisory Committee online meeting for updates from the treaty negotiation team. And on August 11th, I too attended the special meeting of council.
July 27th, along with Councillor Pearson, met with, and Mr. Depenau, met with Ministry of Transportation Infrastructure Regional Manager, Mr. Hollie, and his department leads. I believe it was roads and commercial vehicle safety enforcement. Later that evening, I had a VARTA board meeting. August 2nd, I had a chance to review the Associated Engineering geothermal report. And later that day, had a follow-up meeting with the FEDIAS group. August 3rd, had a discussion with Northern Health Authority regarding their current pathways to care and potential alternatives on how healthcare would be rolled out for the months of August, September. Attended in-person meeting with the Village of McBride Council and their CAO. I thought the tour was quite nice. If anybody gets a chance and you're walking through, the solar system is pretty cool. They have a scaled down solar system along the sidewalks, and you'll be walking along and all of a sudden, okay, so from this point to this point, I'm at the orbit of Saturn. Neat. I think it was, what, 3.9 billion scaled, 1 to 3.9 billion?
It's right in the walkway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Council, okay, August the 5th, I had an interview with CPC Radio regarding the potential for emergency healthcare alternatives. August the 8th, Mr. Depenau and I had an introduction to the Wildfire Protection Officer at the Robson Initial Fire Attack Base, which is also our secondary emergency operations center. So I had a chance to view that portion of the base. Special meeting in council on August 11th, and then a plethora of regional district meetings on the 18th, beginning with Environment and Parks, and Public Safety Emergency Management, Agricultural Land Use Committee, the Fraser Fort George Regional Hospital Board, and the open board of the Regional District Fraser Fort George Board of Directors. And we also met with MLA Shirley Bond on her last constituency visit. That concludes reports. Are there motion to receive? Councillor MacLean, Councillor Blanchette, questions, comments on the reports? All in favor? It's carried. We'll now, threw me for a loop there because we're not taking public comments right now. So I'll now give notice to proceed in camera. With the recommendation that we do proceed to an in-camera meeting for the consideration of 2 items per section 91E and K of the Community Charter to discuss matters related to E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements. If the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality, and section K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the VO Council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they're held in public. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? It's carried.